Well, hello everyone. Once again, good morning. Well, it's not morning, perhaps in many places. So, good afternoon, good evening to all of you from around the world. It's Michael Israel again. Thank you so much for making time to spend with us today. It's my pleasure to introduce Edward Maximov, and Edward has interesting stories to tell about the company that he works for, a project that they're working on, and the customer for whom that project is, and how Zuper plays into it. So, without wasting any more time, I'm going to turn it over to Edward and ask him to go ahead. Edward, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Hello to everyone. I don't know where you are based in the world. And hopefully Zuper has global coverage and many of you joining from across, and you can also see this recording afterwards. I'm happy to be here and share with you part of my story with Zuper and one of my clients that have been embracing the Zuper platform. And the thing is that we always have to look back on all started. And that helps us to actually acknowledge the steps we've done, to acknowledge the learnings that we've been through. And I would like to share with you throughout this presentation today most of that insights. Simtel is a Romanian-based company which has a footprint with different projects at international level. They have 21 years of experience, and around 6 months ago, I had the opportunity to meet their CEO, and through different discussions, we aim up in joining forces for a consultancy, and this is my strength in terms of sales and marketing opportunities for different companies. Nevertheless, looking within their business, they do solar implementation, either on the field level or on the rooftop for different B2B companies. And this has been their activities for over 21 years now. If we look in terms of facts for the client, they have 7 business lines, almost 100 employees coming soon in the following months. Kind of big contractors for the services they do, 150 megawatts of projects, which actually represent 8,000 projects. Imagine how much you learn of implementing such project across the retail and the different sizes and structures of the companies. And they have an annual turnover at around 10 million euro. They are not a big company, they are not a small company, but they are a very joyful company which is dedicated to grow in the future. And within this picture, if you can imagine who is the CEO, probably you can have your guesses. Those two guys, they have been actually those that have been putting up this project in the middle, the CEO and the CEO of the company. Now, who I am? I'm a dual hat sales and marketing strategy person that have worked in multinational and then providing consultancy for different companies. And particularly today, I keep at heart the startups and the smaller medium companies because I believe the future rests with them. This is why I've created Smart Ideas based in Geneva, Switzerland. And the Startupper is the project that I will be presenting today with this relation with the client. Our commitment is actually to look in a go-to-market strategy and the positioning of the company of the client, and particularly have interaction with the teams, on the commercial teams, on the dynamic between the teams, but also on the opportunities and challenges they are facing ahead. We work with the clients, particularly today, as an extended resource for their internal capabilities, and we come with knowledge and complement with different tools their existing environment. And this is how the Zuper partnership came, as a natural organic solution for this specific use case that I'm going to be describing further on within this story. So the project detail actually starts with an overview of the Simtel activities. Analyzing and discussing with the teams across their business units, there have been 3 pillars of the business that looked as potential improvements. And first, probably the most obvious was the work efficiency, and particularly for the people working on the field. The relation between the people in the back office and those doing the implementation, you develop it naturally, but it has opportunities to improve even more, and this is what I will be developing. The second was related to improving the revenue stream by adding additional products through a partnership with a Swiss company in terms of smart lighting, which could improve the consumption for the current retail base. And then obviously is the sales and marketing part, which I keep very strong in all the relation and the discussion that I have with the clients. And this particularly has been a challenge for me, because when the market helps you develop, which is the case for the renewable energy companies, it's very hard to actually look at the base and see what is your actually framework of onboarding clients and transforming prospects to leads and then into clients for them, and having that communication improved across the process is one of the elements that we'll be working and improving together with Simtel. Looking particularly for this work performance efficiency, over 60 employees work on the field level. You see here this smaller fish, which is actually the Romanian market. And then they grouped it within 5 regions. And their teams are actually doing either the rooftop or field implementation. They do the telecom service, but they still do the implementation of the elements there. They do the maintenance part for the projects they have implemented or they have requests from clients. And they also have some industrial intervention for different elements. 85 people to manage across different regions is not an easy stuff. And even more when it comes to the hardware implementation, which is the case for the renewable energy, it's also a demanding elements of how you manage the stock flow from the warehouse in the main space, and then the regions, and then the people, and the implementation, and in some cases doing the rental with the clients. There is a challenge within this project, but also a promise and commitment from our side together with Zuper team. Now, the reality is that disregarding the client you may have, and in this case Simtel, they will figure it out a way forward. And that way forward means that they will invent their own way and processes, because they need to face the they have in the market. They have designed their own flow of documents that people have to fill in, majority of them based on Word and Excel. And within that scope, they add additional elements like ERPs, like servers for keeping the pictures, like other servers for managing the schedule. Then the communication happens on WhatsApp and email. It's very hard to actually face everything, because majority of those solutions, they work individually. And whenever you need to get information, you have to go across manual check between different application, and it is a lot of redundant work, which is a burden for majority of the teams, particularly now when the market grows and you have even more jobs to do. So the challenge for us was how to actually keep the business running and still implement a new tool and still get used to that new software adoption way of thinking. And if you look back, most of you would be probably my age, you say, when we used to have Nokia phones and we changed it to Samsung phones or even BlackBerry phones, all that infrastructure of the software is totally new learning environment. The same happens with the software here. To change your way of working and way of thinking when you develop your own processes is not an easy way through. So that element, it's putting quite a lot of challenge within the process of this project. But the other part, I noticed that simplicity itself is not a straightforward element. Having a tool like Zuper, when you have almost everything in there, so simple on the clicks to get, it's somehow not useful for, not useful, it's very useful, but not easy for people to get along and say, okay, that's right there, that's so easy to get, because they're used to the hard work. Now, that simplicity, it's actually a need that has to be created for the client. And when we looked with Simtel together, actually, it was about visibility of the work and the jobs people have done in the field, which was the main value for the lead team. But also the normal workflow was bringing a lot of simplicity for the people actually doing the jobs, creating the jobs, and having the communication with the people on the field. So we took the best learnings from Zuper, and the mind-blowing thing is that you don't need any other further customization. You have everything there, and that was the biggest aha. And it's still for me the most impactful learning out of this project is that Simtel, particularly when they worked with different tools, they asked customization. In this case, we didn't have to. The software allowed us to customize whatever we needed, including the language for the local market and for the people, for the dashboard. You can do so many things. It was a mind-blowing thing. So I was telling about the commitments that we had when it comes to the time saver for the team, improving the employees' work, and from that also their involvement with more valuable aspects of their business instead of just doing redundant work. The hardware management part, and obviously having a good analyze on the jobs requiring, so then you can plan and avoid additional costs on the processes for the maintenance, because you realize that specific products actually require more services than others. And at the end, we also look at the customer satisfaction, because you have that interaction when the implementation is done. You have the interaction when you have the report sent automatically at the end of the month, and then you keep updated exactly what happens there. And clients really value that those specific aspects. Now, let's get to the details of this project. What actually we have done in going into this. The focus was actually to make that adoption as natural as possible. And from that, there was discussion with the Link team to actually do to see the values of the product and to see the core commitment that the company really needed that improvement, particularly when they are aiming to develop the activities in additional markets internationally, and you scale for that other markets and which would require resources. Efficiency of managing people and having the quality of the work for the implementation, that those are the core elements for having good implementation. So the elements were there to actually pinpoint the specific pain areas, which was related to having visibility on the costs, was related to managing fast the resources and being able to interfere on a job when the job was requested, and having a fast reaction to the client's specific needs, their client-specific needs. The second step was actually related to developing and deploying internal team, which was using the product, the Zuper product, and having their on board, because they will be using on ongoing elements. So the way I've done it, actually, to do a brainstorm beforehand with the team and say, okay, where do you think you can improve what you're doing today? What is the part of your job that you don't like doing because you don't think you bring value to that? And people pointed out specific elements. And then when we sum up those elements, it gave me a very good base of bringing Zuper, because that was actually solving those specific elements related particularly to managing the job, to having visibility of the jobs on a map, to have a very fast reaction to client, and those elements to be reflected in a job, that the team on the field would actually have real-time updates, and not sending an email that they will be seeing at the end of the day. And those elements was actually enabling us to create a business action plan on specific elements to do the implementation. And then we created stages, grouping those pain points for the implementation scope. The element that I think was very much important is to get those people aligned, because for the step of the action plan, if you don't have the people involved, they will always find difficult to change their habits, particularly when they still have to keep the business running on the regular base. And then it's also the mindset that I'm used to work in that specific way. Why do I have to learn a different way, which I'm not sure exactly is correct or not for me? So having specific milestones for each element of the action plans enable us to keep very close to the implementation part. Even if I'm today remote from Geneva and the team is doing the implementation in Bucharest, we have weekly touch points, and then we have even more a Q&A session with the customer support of Zuper, when they can raise any specific points that they couldn't figure it out by themselves, or maybe they don't know how to do. And from that Q&A session, I can see where they are in the stage of implementation. I can also follow their level of engagement and their learning stage on the product, and that really helps me to have a good grasp on what's happening on the ground, and also encourage them with specific elements in giving them, sometimes a different perspective of the request they have, so as to be much more clear for the support to guide them. And obviously, measuring the implementation and reinforcing with small positive results of adopting the platform is the critical element, because that's how you highlight again, this was a pain point, this is how easy we can do it. And obviously, we're coming to the point of closing that, and we are very, very positive to have the client on board with us. Now, the learnings that I want to share with you about this process is that, I worked in product development, even in the software myself in agriculture. I know what it means to develop something for a specific industry and niche. But when it comes to any service, I never found a company that would actually be already there with the features and the questions that the client raised. And they have, believe me, very specific, pertinent, unique question, which is for their business, but they have been already developed. And that's probably the biggest power of Zuper, because they had turned it inside out within the field management, and they learned from all the partners and all the clients they have, and they brought that development software that actually was so easy for us to do the implementation with Simtel. And the first thing is that whoever wants to do more with Zuper, you are in good hands. And not in good hands only because the product is good, but in a good hands because the customer support is very active, and because also the partnership team is there to support you in everything that you have. The second element is have patience. It's not so easy to sell it and go to clients, and then in 1 week you'll say, okay, I got this client, he's ready to do the implementation. It's not like that. They most probably have their own processes already in place. They already have their own way of managing their reality. It's just that there is a better way of doing that. And for that specific element, you have to be there and advise them on the go, and make sure that those pain points there is another way of solving those elements. The third element would be the critical watch outs. And what I mean from that is that you'll see majority of the clients you'll be facing, there are habits and specific mindsets. You'll have a way of working, you have a way of seeing things, and they want specific elements that actually they don't need them. Particularly, they will need them probably in specific reports and then the demand, but sometimes looking for the processes in a simpler way, it is the better way. But for that, they would tend sometimes to say, yeah, but no, but I'm like this. It's the way, okay, asking the question back and say, okay, how would that help you in the job that you're doing now? And how would that actually be available for you? And then showing that they can get that value directly in the application just by clicking a few elements there. So a bit of elements there when it comes to the habit and mindset, it's important. And once again, the ownership of the people doing the implementation can create a gap between the lead team expectation and the people that are actually using the platform. Sometimes it could be junior people, which is my case with Simtel. I had to push someone to actually go beyond and take more responsibility for the platform and for the implementation of the element he has to do, instead of just saying, I don't know how to do that. Be confident that the product is there and it's serving already there. And what I find interesting is that if you manage to get someone from their team, from the client team, to be an internal champion that really understands where you are taking them forward, could actually facilitate the internal adoption and then support people, and bringing confidence to their internal team, and being like an ambassador for the product. And obviously, when it comes to results, it's always being sure that you highlight the impact of even the smaller steps on the implementation, showcase the pain point that has solved, and showcase how easy is for them to get the results with the product. And again, clients, and particularly in this case with Simtel, will take the basic elements, for example, creating the job, seeing the jobs on the map, but then you have to take them further steps of implementation to more advanced features, to seeing and analyzing the job implementation, to getting the interaction, the communication with the people on field. Those elements require a bit of more time for them to see the value, but take them even further, because they will be amazed that, yes, I can get even this one. Wow, fantastic. I can get that element also. Fantastic. Because that brings the trust there and also creates a long-term partnership for the product. And probably the bonus tip that I would like to share with you, it's not needed to ask for referrals any client that you'll be working for. It's useless. I find it useless, because when they find the value and the level of performance and work with their team, they will not be open to give you another company to work with, because they want to be the most competitor in the market. So from that perspective, I would say be patient, just work and look forward for best practices, and be sharing that visible with other clients of yours, because that's how you get that visibility there. Now, what I see in the future for the particular renewable energy industry is that the market is going to grow anyway. Whatever you do in your business, you need tools like Zuper, because the business will require that. First, increased job demands will require more resources. More resources to manage the old way through Word and Excel and emails is not going to be feasible. Secondly, boosting employee satisfaction, but showcasing to them that you have tools that actually bring more value for their competencies, instead of just doing manual work, which is redundant every month, doing the same in getting the reports done, is not a way forward. And that particular element, it's very important also for the scarcity of the jobs. Today, in markets like Switzerland and even UK, there are 3,000 jobs required to be built this year for the renewable energy industry on the field level specific. And there is a lack of technological people that actually can do the job and the implementation. Imagine that people from your team could actually, or your client's team, would leave for other competitors just because they are using tools like Zuper and they are making their jobs much easier and more valuable. Loyalty of your employees is very much important. So then you have to equip them with the best of the tools available in the market. And obviously, I remain optimistic because I see how the product has been developed by now, and I'm sure that with the learning and inputs from the partners across the international markets and the clients that Zuper has, they will continue to improve and simplify the processes there. I thank you for the time dedicated to this presentation and the use case, and I would be very much open for the Q&A session. But before I do that, I would like to really thank for the whole team of Zuper, particularly for the customer support, which has always been actively there to support me in this project for the implementation with Simtel. I would like to thank for all the people that have put their hard work and knowledge to develop the product and the functionalities and the simplicity of use on the product, and also for the partnership team that has been there in guiding on anything related to the client.
Edward, that's great. Thank you so much for those comments. I appreciate it. I'm sure that everyone on our team appreciates it. And I think that I would also say that it's certainly our pleasure to work with you. It's a great opportunity to work with you as well. We have another session coming up almost immediately within 2 or 3 minutes. So we're going to have to drop. But I did want to make an observation as I listened to you and you talking about the implementation and bringing people on board and everything. It kind of struck me that you have done a pretty good job so far of managing change management to make sure that people buy in and they're committed, and you're taking all the right steps to make sure that they stay that way. So congratulations to that. I think that's a very important step in any implementation, especially of a major software project. So very nice job to you.
Thank you. I look forward to have much more similar execution, and I have very much confidence in the product and in the potential for the market, and particularly as the industry is growing. Many other companies are facing the same challenges in retention for the clients, improving their satisfactions for the employees, and facing that job demands, it's probably the biggest pain that you have today. For me, I
Well,
still keep at heart that visibility for the lead team to know exactly where you spend majority of your costs for the services, because you can prevent some of those elements. For example, replacing a hardware beforehand instead of having
yeah.
recurrent services for that. Thank you for
Well,
the opportunity to present. And if there is anything, I'll be available over email, and people can reach me on the LinkedIn that has been inserted in the presentation.
excellent. Have a great evening. And thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
everyone, for listening. We'll move on to the next session. Thanks again, Edward.
Bye.
Bye.